Chicano Rap Radio.
Raw and uncut.
Cubo, and welcome to another episode of Chicano Rap Radio. Today we're being joined by the one and only Kontra Mantis. He's going to join us for an interview. We've been looking forward to chop it up with you. So welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, homie. I appreciate you having me. Snipes, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great too. I thank you so much for asking. Looking forward to this interview. I'm really glad you're able to join us. I always like to kick off the interview with getting a little bit of background information on the artist. So can you kind of give us a little recap of, who Kontra Mantis is and maybe at what age you decided to get into the music?
Well, I am the son of immigrants from Mexico City and Yuriria, Guanajuato. First generation here, got into music real early. My older brother did graffiti, did music, got me into it at a real early age. So I think I started actually getting into the music maybe around 7th grade, 8th grade, started writing music. 9th grade, it was already making songs, and, painting was a big thing too. And basically, years later, I started making music in Spanish. Well, I grew up speaking Spanish, but I didn't actually tap into, rapping in Spanish until maybe a little bit after high school,
So because of your older brother, you said you were influenced to, some of the things that you're into now, which is the artwork, which is the music. Did you start off listening to hip hop, or were there other kind of genres that, influenced you to get into the music at a young age?
It started out with hip hop, man. I think what was on the radio in the early 90s, you know what I'm saying? A lot of Ice Cube, you know what I'm saying? Just a lot of West Coast, the Dre's, the Snoop, and funk music, a lot of times DJs on Power 106, they'd spin, house music from the East Coast, And so, just growing up with that influence, I had cousins that DJ, it influenced my music. But I didn't want to rhyme until I heard like East Coast music, man, like Wu-Tang specifically. When I heard Wu-Tang, the first 36 chambers, that shit just made me want to rap, you know what I mean? And
what about it did you like?
You know what? I think it was probably how complex it was, and the fact that you could listen to it and you wouldn't really understand what they're saying all the way until you hear it again. And then you start getting little jewels, along the way.
Right.
But maybe it was it was a different kind of approach. West Coast was like the heart, it's feel, you know what I mean? It was chill, it was the bass line heavy, and East Coast, I think it was more simple beats, but it was more focused on the words.
Lyrical. Right. Yeah, there's definitely a contrast between the two. You have the influence from the West Coast. You're talking about your Dr. Dre's, your Snoop, your Eazy-E, your Ice Cube. And it's definitely music that you can feel. It talks about a lot of the West Coast life, what you see on the streets, what you see in your neighborhood, and then having that influence from the East Coast, which is not close to home, so with them making the kind of music that's a little bit more lyrical, I'm sure it kind of developed you as an artist. You get a little bit of both worlds. You get that music that you're gonna feel, and that comes from the heart, but then you also have that intelligent, lyrical context coming from a lot of the East Coast rappers, KRS-One, Wu-Tang, Nas. I mean, all those rappers, they come at it with I think a more evolved lyrical rhyme scheme, and I can see that in your music now. Do you remember how it is that you got into recording? Like, what was it, at a friend's studio? Did you do something at home? I mean, how is it that you record your first song?
So this is funny you ask. I haven't told this story in a long time, but my brother, my parents been divorced since I was 6. So my bro went to go move with my pops. And so I would go to his pad on the weekends, and this is in maybe like, high school already, early high school. And so I had a karaoke machine and I had tapes, you know what I'm saying? And, it was basically every Wednesday, my brother would have this thing called, it was called mic sessions, right? Every Wednesday, and they'd cut records, they'd, draw graffiti, or they would rhyme. And so I got to see that glimpse. And so on my own time, being that I was too shy, I'll basically just record on the karaoke. That was the first few joints. And, I was always scared to be called whack, to be honest. And so I kept my shit secret for a long ass time. I showed my close friends, but by the time I got to high school, they knew that I was my brother's younger brother. So they expected me to kind of like rap already and graph on shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I was raised by them, and they taught me early, man. So I got a good head start. And that's why I feel, you know, that it's important to teach kids. I've taught art classes for years, and to get them a head start, you know what I'm saying? On whatever it is.
That's right. That's right. Now, how much older is your older brother from you?
4 years or 3 years sometimes. He's June, I'm January.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes 4, sometimes 3. But yeah.
Okay. But you know, it sounds like, you know, he had a big influence
For sure.
in you developing as an artist. Now, does your older brother also rap, or, you know, do lyrics, or, you know, how is it that he's involved in the music?
You know what? He hasn't made music in years, man. It was a high school thing. You know, in retrospect, I think about it, they're just, I looked at them like they decided what they want to do with their life.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this too. But I didn't realize that they were just doing it for fun, you know? So I took it a little more serious at an early age. I think after high school, he kind of let it go. He stayed drawing. He was always a good designer. You know, got into making signs and t-shirts, you know, years later. And he's still a good drawer, but as far as graffiti or music, he doesn't partake in those two anymore in years. You know, it's kind of like more of his high school thing.
Yeah, well, I imagine especially when you're doing, you know, graffiti, it's a whole different world, you know, and to really earn your name, I mean, you got to go out there and earn it, you know, and sometimes that comes with a certain level of, you know, exposure, you know, whether you're caught up, you know, by other crews or the 5-0s or whatever. I
you
mean,
know, the interesting thing, bro, is it actually teaches you morals, bro. It teaches you honor and respect. You know what I mean? It teaches you friendship and how to and you know, a lot of values that you get from graffiti. You know what I mean? I think you know, it's a whole world. You know, just like you know, gang culture, it's its own culture, and it has its own morals and values, and to each individual. But you know, I was raised by some valued individuals. You know, who
can you expand on that, because I think that's a really solid point that you're making, and I could see that. You know, I'm sure there's some people that maybe cross the line and don't have those certain morals and values, maybe cross each other out or do things like that. But I also know that there's a certain level of respect within the graffiti world. You know, you see maybe a name throw their piece up somewhere. You know, you're not going to go and throw your piece up on top of that, because I imagine it's a relatively smaller world where everybody kind of knows each other. You know, so like, can you tell me a little bit more about how you said that teaches you know both values and morals?
You could learn it the hard way, or you could learn it through others' experiences. And the same thing with the street shit, you know what I mean? And within every crew, you know, there's a, you know, a shot caller, you know, or someone who is the head of the crew. And, you know, there's votes that go on, but also I see in other crews, there's always a struggle between the OGs and the youngsters putting in work. You know what I'm saying? I think that could be common in a lot of groups, you know what I mean? The founders of the group who have been through everything and are still here, and the youngsters that are keeping the name alive in the street. Right. Those are the two, you know, sometimes the ones that in the street, they feel like they have more of a say, maybe they're more trigger happy, or just, I mean, you know, just want to go at it with homies. Yeah. And then, you know, while the other ones have an understanding with other groups and want to maintain a certain respect, right? Yeah. And so, you know, as far as going over everybody and things like that, there's a way to do it. Obviously, if you paint over someone and his letters are hanging out behind yours, he's going to take that as disrespect. So you want to cover all that shit so you can't see anything, you know what I mean, at a yard. Obviously, on the street, if you go over a dude's spot, then that's like automatic disrespect, you know what I mean? Yeah. Especially if you could have gone next to him, but then you're side busting, you know? And so, you know, there's all kinds of, people could take it different ways, you know what I mean? Right.
And because I imagine, I mean, some of these spots that, you know, that people get to, they're not always accessible, you know, but it almost seems like to me, like when an artist, like, you know, finds like a good wall or somewhere to hit up.
Real estate.
That's your real estate. That's my canvas, you know, and for someone to come and try to take it over is probably not right. You maybe just need to honor that and find your own real estate.
Right. You know, and, you know, sometimes groups burn for years. And when someone goes over you and there is no response, then, you know, it shows something as well, you know? So, you know, it's this constant thing. It's, you know, the best way I heard it explained is graffiti is a race that never ends. And you could be number one for so long, but you're not going to be number one forever. And when I think about the context of the lifespan of a graffiti writer, you know, a graffiti legend, to be real, graffiti legends, are everywhere known, but they don't got a car sometimes. Motherfuckers sleeping with their friends at their friend's crib, but
Right.
they're a legend. And you know, these so the hardest thing for graffiti writers, and this is what I tell my homies, is how to make that transition. Because we work so hard with this hand-eye coordination, and we're studying colors, and we're studying basically architecture of the letters, typography. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so we put all this effort in just to quit later on. You know what I mean? And so a lot of writers don't always find that way to make a transition. You know what I mean?
And do
That's
you mean like a transition into something that's going to help you pay your bills?
yeah, tattoos, you know, a t-shirt company,
Right.
you know, any kind of design work, you know, graphic design. There's so many things that you develop as a graffiti writer as creatively that could be applied to so many other things. And I think people get discouraged from trying other shit because they're like, I can't make a beat, you know, that's that fool, you know, and they're
Right.
always putting themselves in competition with someone else.
Do you think your experiences in the graffiti world have like somehow found their way into your music?
For sure, for sure. You know, I think I did not consciously, but they have because certain beat. You know, when I'm painting a lot, I start looking at that shit and I think about how I could reverse engineer it and paint that shit, right? But sometimes when I hear a beat, I get a vibration of colors. You know, I see a certain color. A beat gives you a certain feel. You know, like you know, a lot of West Coast music that's bass heavy to me is a lot of warmth. You know, it's like orange and yellow. So it's like a mild synesthesia that I have. You know,
Right.
when I hear a beat. And so I always approach it from the point of the beat gives you a feeling, and it's your job to kind of just match that feeling with your words.
Now, I've noticed that there's different levels of graffiti artists out there, and some of them will maybe do put a little bit more into their art. It's more symbolic. It has a certain message, you know. Maybe they're just representing themselves, but there are also some out there that make a statement, like a Banksy, you know, where he's throwing, you know, simple graffiti, but it also has a very deep message. And so I think there's a lot of graffiti artists who are very conscious, socially conscious of what's going on in the world around them.
True.
Do you feel like that's something that you've applied to your music? Because from my perspective, it seems like your music is also very socially conscious, and it's you know, bringing a little something deeper meaning. Is
Yeah,
that something that's in your music?
it is, and that's my mom and dad to blame. You know, they came from Mexico City in 1968, where the government massacred mass student protest, which happened to be the same year the Olympics. And so I have relatives that went to that, and you know, I was raised with knowing who Pancho Villa was and Zapata and who Che Guevara was, and all these revolutionary figures, Malcolm X, you know.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize it at the time, but I realized other kids weren't raised the same, and it found its way into my music. It in essence was who I was and I am, and it found its way into my music through just discovering myself, you know.
Right.
Because when you
Right.
start rapping, you try to emulate the rappers that you hear,
Right.
and then later on you start to develop your personality, and then so yeah, it just came out, you know, once I matured musically.
Yeah, because well, one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of not just your music, but who you are as an individual is someone who's proud of his heritage, you know, and that's why
Definitely.
one thing I definitely wanted to have you on the show because it's something that's important to me, you know, to tell the story from different perspectives, but at the same time, everybody coming from the same background, you know, the same roots. And that's something, I mean, tell me a little bit about your shirt. I mean, I've noticed that a lot of your shirts, there's always some sort of meaning to it, you know? So
Defend the elotero.
okay. That's, yeah.
Yeah, defend the elotero. So my brother designed this shirt, you know what I'm saying? He's still getting
Yeah.
busy with the design.
Yeah.
And so we made this, you know, it's kind of a joke, you know, we clown a lot, you know, and so it was a response to kind of like people fucking with the elotero, these videos that would go viral, you know what I mean, of eloteros just getting their shit tipped over or fucked with, you know, and you know, it made us all furious, you know what I'm saying, and so it was kind of like my bro is also a stand-up comedian, you know what I mean, and so yeah, it was kind of his expression and his way, and we sold out of these shirts. I mean, we haven't made any sense. We made a gang of them, and you know, people see that, people see and they understand that message. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've noticed it with all the shirts that you wear. You know, there's always something deeper behind it. It's very conscious, you know. And I think I would like to talk a little bit more about that. About maybe, you know, some. I see you have you know, some a lot of art stuff, you know, behind you. So I want to get into that a little bit more. Let's take a quick little break, and
For sure.
we'll come right back. You're listening to Chicano Rap Radio. raw and uncut.
Hit us up at 805-395-6595 for your special requests, dedications, and shout-outs. Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Cubo, and welcome back to Chicano Rap Radio. We've been chopping it up with the homeboy Kontra. We've been talking about how he got into the music, his background, his upbringing, how he was influenced by his older brother to get into the music, to get into, into the art, the graffiti world, how he's learned a lot of lessons, a lot of values and morals by being in the graffiti world. We're also talking about how him and his brother, they're very socially conscious, and sometimes they print up T-shirts that have a deeper meaning or a deeper message. I wanted to talk about that. I mean, where we left off last, we were talking about the shirt that you're wearing right now that talks about defenda el lotero. But what kind of other T-shirts have you guys put out that maybe has like a deeper message, for the people to kind of to bring it awareness to? I mean, is there any other stuff that you guys have worked on or are working on?
To be honest with you, Snipes, throughout the years, there's been so many, but I thought of one of the very, very first ones, before we started the lab, and, my brother was making shirts, and I remember he had this one that had like a lady, and this is like one of the very first designs, a lady selling roses, right, on the corner. And then underneath it had like some white lady, panhandling, and it said like legal worker or illegally working, something like that. It was just very blatant. But I mean, over the years, we've done so many, and all credit due to my brother, because his brain is always working, and he's always, something will happen in the news, and then he'll just get an idea and he'll make a shirt.
Well, and that's the one thing that I admire about what you guys do, is that you're not just going after something for commercial reasons. You're touching on subjects, current events that are important either to you, your brother, or to the community as a whole. And that's what I admire about you guys. Now, you mentioned the lab. Tell me what the lab is exactly.
So the lab is a creative studio. We do graphic design here. We do T-shirt printing. We do banner printing, vehicle wraps, anything related to like vinyl. And we also have a large selection of spray paint, as you can see behind me. You know what I'm saying? We sell sell Montana paint, 94s, hardcores. We sell drip mops, pretty much like graffiti accessories and art supplies.
Are those tips?
Spray paints.
Are those tips that you just mentioned?
Yeah, we have tips, but we have markers and drip mops. And,
I see.
We have books with art in them, and we have canvases and just, all kinds of stuff. We have a yard back there where we let people paint Monday through Friday. You know what I mean? So it's really the only legal place you could spray graffiti in the 805 in Ventura County.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys are a refuge for
the sheriffs have called us a training ground for graffiti artists in the past. Man, we've been raided by the cops
really?
Many times throughout the years. One time we got raided during because we used to do punk shows and hardcore shows, metal shows. And we started in El Rio, and I remember one time we got raided by like mad sheriffs, with taser guns out, and the band kept playing, and it was a hardcore show. So these kids are straight edge,
Yeah.
And so I seen one of the kids in the crowd be like, "Hey, check this out," and he was like moshing and shit, and he bumps into a cop, and so that's when it all ended. They went on stage and told the drummer to stop, and they didn't find nothing. They thought everybody was getting drunk inside, but we kept a tight squeeze on the door, at that time. Because people were trying to sneak shit in, and that was me trying to, avoid that from happening. But yeah, man, it's been a long fight with law enforcement, but now it's over. They finally show a respect. They understand that we do greater things for the community, and it's not just a training ground for graffiti writers,
Well, I think recently you guys did something to give back to the community. Since you brought that up, didn't you guys have some sort of drive recently? Something 805 Humanity or?
Yeah, we did. We decided to do a virtual concert series called the 805 Live.
Okay.
And parallel to that, we started something called the 805 Live Humanity Project, which is run by my wife, Wildflower Jess, shout out. Okay. And basically we united those two worlds, which is, her world, which she helped me understand what empathy is, and have more empathy, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I love music. And so it's our way of, combining our two worlds and giving back in a bigger sense, and so what we did is we threw a virtual concert and we had people donate. We set bins in different businesses throughout the 805. And we had people donate hygiene products, soaps, deodorants,
Right.
different toothbrushes.
The essentials.
Essential stuff, you know what I mean? Just to get it out there to those in need. And it was a success, man. Everything filled up and it felt good, and the artist felt good about doing something that was bigger than music. And I would like to keep that going. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, who did this benefit? I mean, was it any particular group within society? Was it homeless? Was it low income? What was it?
Yeah, it was homeless. It was a homeless. My Wildflower Jess works with different groups, and we actually donated to a hotel that was housing a lot of homeless people, and so we were able to help over 50 people, with these supplies. Yeah.
Oh, that's powerful. Well, we appreciate you doing that. I think it's always good to learn to give back, to help the community thrive. It's more than just being socially conscious and maybe like bringing awareness to an issue on your Instagram page or on your Instagram story. You have to take it to the next step. To be really empathetic, I think you have to take it to the next step, which is action. You can say, I feel for that guy's pain, but I mean, when you put together a drive like you guys did, and you actually brought, hygiene products and you distributed to people that were in need, that says a lot about you. And it really does help the community, bring up the community in the way you did it. What other things can we expect from the lab? I mean, I know you have paint supplies. Seems like people can go there and and express themselves. You have some sort of open paint kind of thing, or what?
Yeah,
what
we
is
got
that?
an open yard out back, man. So it's bigger outdoors than it is indoors. We built 8-foot high walls. We got 6-foot high walls, and basically people just come and they bring their kids out, sometimes, and they just spend the day here and they paint and just have a good time, man. Sometimes they get their kids paint. We got toxic free paint that's water based, and so sometimes kids get down too, man. Yeah.
And is that where you hosted the 805 Live?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So
We usually try to keep it an undisclosed location, but truth be told,
Okay.
yeah, man, we hold it down here. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Forget I said that.
It's all good. No worries. Yeah. Well, because the thing is technically, we didn't have shows here at the lab because we don't have permits to do shows.
Right.
But this isn't a show. This is more of a private performance. You know what I mean? That's being recorded. So it's not open to the public.
Right. I was gonna say that it's not open to the public. So, everybody put your phone down. Don't be calling code enforcement.
Yeah. Right. They do.
Yeah, right. And so at the lab, I mean, it sounds to me like it's a hub for people to come through and be creative, express their art, express their themselves through the music. Do you have like a recording studio somewhere on site?
I do, actually. I've always had a little space at each lab, and I think that I got good at engineering and recording people because I used to offer that, recording and engineering, and I got better at it. But yes, since we moved here, I actually created a container studio. You know what I'm saying? I insulated it and I ran electricity in it, so I have a nice little setup in there. And yeah, that's where me and the homies record, man, for sure.
Is that something that someone can hit you up for, like for your services, or it's kind of just personal use?
It's kind of just personal use right now, brother. I used to offer that, but I'm just so busy right now with other things, and especially musically. So yeah, I don't offer recording services at the time.
Okay. Well, what about the music? What's going on right now in the music world for you? Is there anything that's coming down the pipeline? Are you working on any singles, any kind of projects that you can tell us about?
Yes, sir, man. Actually, a few. You know what I mean? I'm finishing up a solo EP. I don't have a title for it yet, but I do expect to release that sometime late this year. Also, parallel, I got a few dope collaborations with my man Lee Recca, Blackout, and Laugh Mob. Shout out to them. And right now as well, I'm working on a collection of Spanish songs, which is going to be a separate project that I'm working towards in the future, because it takes me a little longer to write in Spanish. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm getting a head start at that, and I expect to release that sometime early next year, man. That should be fun.
And is that going to be an all Spanish album?
It's gonna be a bilingual. What I'm doing is I'm having like full verses in Spanish, full verses in English. Some songs will be full Spanish, but there will be no full English songs on that album.
I see.
You might just have an English verse or something, you know?
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about how you came up with the idea for a slang, one of your singles.
Well, you know, my family's from Mexico City. I have a lot of cousins out there, man, and just going out there every summer, just the way they talk, you know, you got to ask, what is that? You know, like they call cars naves, like, oh yeah, es tu nave? You know, is that your car? It's like a spaceship, you know? So I always learn these interesting words, you know, that they would say, and they're the Chilango comedian comic side derives from, this is what's told to me, is that back in the days when the Aztecs got conquered, right, and they were made to work in the fields, they would joke about, oh fuck, nos está cogiendo, o te vamos a coger. It was always fucking, right? So if you understand Spanish, all the fucking jokes are either I'm fucking you or you're fucking me. No mames. You know what I mean? Like everything you say. So E-slang came about because you know, it's just I wanted people to know those unique words. You know what I mean? Especially a lot of Mexicans here, a lot of my homies that are from different parts of Mexico. I wanted them to like understand how fucking creative that shit is. You know what I mean? How creative the slang is, and a lot of the slang is from here too. You know, but you know, my cousin Ulises, shout out to my cousin Ulises. He's the one that helped me write that song. Not in the sense of write it, but like teaching me the slang. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Giving you all the different
the Mexico
words.
City slang. Yeah.
That's the Chilango, you know, dialect or verbiage.
Yeah, it was a fun one, bro. It was a fun one, you know, and it was done pretty fast, man. And I think a lot of times when we overthink shit, it takes longer. So in the spirit of that, you know what I mean, working on the feel.
And you recorded, you went to record the music video during one of your trips out to Mexico City, correct?
Yes, sir. My brother was the camera guy, you know what I mean? He's also the director. Shout out Big Lee. And yeah, we filmed it on our last trip out there, man. That was, I believe, not last summer. Yeah, it was last summer, I believe. No, 2 summers ago. We filmed it and put it together and yeah, put it out there.
Well, it came out really good. I really like the song, and I think the concept behind it, you know, is a solid concept. You know, I think anybody who is in between, especially being Chicano, because Chicano also means you're not necessarily 100% Mexican, you're not necessarily 100% American. You know, you're in between, and I think your song does that. You know, it's the in between worlds. You know, where you know you're not always speaking everything 100% English or Spanish. You know, it's a little bit of each. You know.
Yeah, I think, you know, as kids, you know, again, going back to listening to the West Coast music as a kid, me and my brother would just do that. We would clown. We'd listen to like, Dub C rap or Ice Cube, and we translate those words in Spanish and just laugh at how silly it sounds, you know? And so, you know, I think there's always been an element or a whole generation of kids that actually did that, you know what I mean? Because now I'm seeing other musicians, other Chicano rappers, you know, that are saying shit that it is of that spirit, you know what I mean? And it's just, I just love that shit.
So when can we expect the next project from you to be released? Whether it's a single, a music video, or a whole project? I mean, for anybody that wants to, you know, stay in contact with.
We're aiming for November 26th.
Okay.
It is Brown Thursday, I believe. You know, when's Black Friday? You know what I'm saying? I've never been much of a Thanksgiving guy, you know, I was just not raised that way. But we're releasing it a day before Black Friday. And the whole concept is Brown Thursday, a day before Black Friday, right? Because Black Friday, what is that? That's a commercial holiday, right? People go out and they spend mad money. Corporate America's holiday, right? So I encourage all my Black homies, you know, why don't you guys like, you know, even if it's just a post, represent Black Friday by teaching the world and showing the great Black people who have lived and contributed to math, science, you know, music, you know, and then we'll do the same on Brown Thursday, you know what I'm saying? So that's what, you know, I'm kind of aiming for, you know, it's kind of just a thing for me and my homies is clown about, but yeah.
So Brown Thursday, the day before Black Friday, and what you guys are doing is you're kind of trying to take it back from the corporate, you know, commercial meaning that it has now to something more empowering and powerful for the community.
Yeah, that's why I'm calling all my Black homies, man. They got to be the ones, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna hold down Brown Thursday, but you know, yeah, much respect. I can name you know, hundreds of great Black people throughout history. You know what I mean? From the Moors to you know, ancient times, brother. You know, so you know, you got to give praise and respect where it's due. And,
Right.
you know, I think we're in a re-education period and a lot of people are relearning history. And so I think it could be a great thing because real history is way more interesting than the history by the victor. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. History is written by the victor, that's for sure. All right, well, I think we're going to take another quick little break and we'll be right back with homie Contra. You're listening to Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Welcome back to Chicano Rap Radio. We've had the pleasure of chopping it up with the homie Contra. He's been telling us how he got into the music, how him and his brother, you know, they've kind of been a hub for all the local artists, whether it be musicians or graffiti artists or anybody kind of looking to get any graphic type work at the lab. They do a lot of giving back to the community. They recently had a drive to get hygiene products for the less fortunate. They tied that in with the concert series that they've started called the 805 Live. And so he's definitely doing a lot of things to give back to the community. And, you know, I wanted to elaborate a little bit more about that. Tell me a little bit more about what 805 Live is and maybe what your goal or mission is with that concert series.
For sure, man. So basically what it started out as is, you know, when everything shut down earlier this year, I have a lot of creative friends that look forward to doing shows, you know, whether it be art show or live performance. And so being that all the venues are shut down, the idea came, you know, shout out to the homie T-Funk and Crazy, my darkroom homies. You know, T-Funk wanted to do a show, just, you know, one show. And, you know, I would consistently tell him, like, bro, we don't got permits, right? But then I said, why don't we do a virtual show? And then the idea became, okay, that's not enough, you know, because there's too much talent out here. So it's got to be an ongoing thing. And so we thought about, you know, really the spirit came from, there was an old show back in the day called the 805 Hip Hop Show. And what they would do is they would just cover 805 hip hop, you know, and so we wanted to do something that was similar. And so we developed this concert series called 805 Live, and parallel to that, I just wanted to add a deeper purpose to that, and I didn't know what. And after chopping it up with my wife, we came up with the idea that is the 805 Live Humanity Project. And so the goal basically is to go from city to city in the 805 to whatever city that people nominate next, you know, and basically do a donation, you know, have donation bins in that city and bring on artists from that city to also assist with the effort and just basically give back one city at a time, man. You know what I mean? Because it's in need. I think a lot of people are just one paycheck away from being homeless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I know a lot of families that had to move away, you know, and families that are getting, you know, just a lot of stuff's going on right now. And I think that no one is exempt because nobody knows exactly, you know, what's going to happen in the future. But it's important to take care of each other because at the end of the day, that's all we have, man. And I live in Santa California. You know, when I was a kid, I knew a lot, you know, the whole neighborhood knew me and my friends. And if we got into shit, word would get around, you know? And I think that nowadays, people walk out their house and they don't even say hi to their neighbors.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They just go straight to their car.
Yeah.
And so in case of emergency, we don't even know who we could count on. And so it's important to know who your neighbors are in your immediate community, but also our music community and the homeless population who is also part of our community, man.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about how sometimes people are just one paycheck away from being homeless.
For sure.
But when you guys give back to the community, you're actually helping people who have already ended up in that position, right? I mean, you're giving back to someone who's already homeless. And
right. It's both because we also do food drives here at the lab. We during the whole COVID thing, when everything shut down, there was a lot of freights in South Oxnard that had big old shipments of melons, sandías, you know, all kinds of stuff, you know. And so what we do is I take my truck out there, we fill it up. I get a homie to fill his truck up, and we basically go out there and bring it back over here to the shop. We put a table outside and we just give it all away. You know what I mean? We're getting berries, you know, different vegetables. And so they know when they see the sign up there, you know, my immediate neighborhood right here in Saticoy, they come through and there's a lot of, you know, women in the neighborhood, mothers and grandmothers that I know. And, you know, sometimes I might drive by and just tell them that we got something over here. So, it, you know, it helps the community. But as far as the 805 Live Humanity Project, the first one was definitely for homeless people. But, you know, we just want to help, you know, whoever is in need. You know, we kind of have meetings about that.
And you're going to have, like you mentioned, you're going to have a lot more of the 805 Live concert series. Do you already have the next one scheduled, or do you know when that might happen?
Yes, sir. We're going to do that the Saturday before Halloween. So I believe it is the 28th, I believe. But the Saturday before Halloween. Oh, no.
Right around the corner.
24th, I believe. 24th. Yeah, 24th. It's real close up. So I'm lining up the lineup, and you're going to hear the noise pretty soon. We're going to start promoting it. And, you know, the thing is, it's a fun thing, bro. And the cool thing is, it's not like a concert where you have to promote like 2 months ahead of time, you know, because everything is done online. And really the work is being done behind the scenes already as far as lining up the donation bins and the spots. So we just haven't announced it.
So, and if anybody wants to contribute, whether it's, you know, money or their time or products or hygiene products, is that something, how can they get in contact with you?
You can hit me up on the 805 Live Humanity Project. You could direct all your inquiries there. That's basically where we take in all the donation information from. As far as the concert series and information about that, you can hit up at the Dark Room. You know, that's me and the homeboys. So that's that wing of the structure, man, for sure.
Now, what's your Instagram page in case, you know, someone who's listening, you know, right now, they want to, you know, connect with you?
You can find me at Cap K Mantis. That's at KAPK Mantis. You know what I'm saying? And I also run the Lab 805 page, but my personal page is Cap K Mantis. Cap
K Mantis and the Lab 805. And the Lab 805, that's kind of what you're saying.
That's the shop.
That's the shop.
Yeah, that's the shop. It's the business. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Well, you know, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a sick interview. You gave us a lot of. I hope to have you back in the future. Maybe we'll get caught up on what's been going on, you know, with the music or the 805 Live series. Is there anything in particular that maybe you want to leave the audience with before we end this?
Well, I want to leave the audience with letting your audience know, Snipes, that I'm a big fan, homie. And I'm looking forward to setting up, you know, something for New Year's with you, dog.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You know?
Let's get it. No, for those of you, well, I mean, nobody knows, but him and I, we've been talking behind the scenes about a little project. So I guess the cat's out of the bag, you know. We're going to try to line something up for New Year's Eve to kind of bring in, end this, what for most people has been kind of not a so good year. We're going to try to end this year on a good note and then kick off the next year on a positive note. So, you know, stay posted. You'll be listening to, you know, we'll be releasing something soon to let you know what's going to go down. A little collaboration between Chicano Rap Radio, The Dark Room, and 805 Live series. And anything else that you want to leave the fans with?
I just want to tell you thank you, man. I appreciate your time, brother. I appreciate, you know, you inquiring about everything. And, you know, it's an honor and a privilege on me to be on your show. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Likewise. And we look forward, everybody here at Chicano Rap Radio looks forward to your music and looks forward to, you know, what you and your team is going to continue to do for the community. We're definitely big fans and we're going to continue to support you in whatever way we can. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot, bro.
You've been listening to an interview with Kontra Mantis from The Dark Room from the 805 Live series. You're listening to Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.